Hello, and welcome to today's visit of Embracing Change. Today we're talking about claim your power. Do you ever feel powerless? There are times when certain things are not in our realm to physically change, but there is something that we can do to empower ourselves working through it. We're going to talk about that in a couple minutes. But first of all, I wanted to, of course, do the National Day calendar because that's always kind of fun. Got some good stuff to share with you about that. I want to go back to last time, our last visit, and it was National Women's Heart Health Awareness Month. That's a big mouthful. Anyway, I was talking about, I have an irregular heartbeat. It's kind of, they say the electric charge goes a little wonky from time to time. And sometimes my blood pressure could be a little lower, just like my weight, but working on that. In both cases, I wanted to share one of the things. I am not a doctor. I am not telling you this is magic. What I am sharing, and you can look into it, do your own research, but this is Super Beets. And I found it online to help with heart health and blood pressure, and between that and my hibiscus tea, it really has had a positive effect on my blood pressure, which was not wildly high unless I went to the doctor. You're afraid of your blood pressure, so you go to the doctor and it goes just for the thought of seeing him. Anyway, so I just wanted to share that with you. It's really quite tasty, and you can look it up online. Google Super Beets. See what you think, not what I think. What you think. Okay, today is National Send a Friend a Card Day, and I am happy to say I did that. And there's something that helps me to send cards, because I'm going to be really honest. It makes me bonkers to go to the store and find a cute card, but it's $5. You get a present to go with that, and sometimes you're spending more on the sending the card than the present, especially after you add a big old stamp to it. So for years and years, I have gone to BlueMountain.com. And I have a membership, so you get this annual membership. It's a year, I think it's 2 years, whatever. And I can't even tell you how much it is, because it's not much. And you can send all the cards you want. You can even attach, like a gift to it, like what do they call that? Gift certificate to it, or, so there's a lot of things. But I did. The other reason I don't like to send physical cards, which I really know I should, because there is a big difference getting something in the mail that somebody wrote your name and address and hand wrote a little sentiment inside and put it in the mail. I know that is so wonderful, because I love to get cards. You want to make my day? Send me a card. You can look up my address on Switchboard or White Pages or whatever, or just go send it to Grandview Campground in Moodus, Connecticut. I like cards, okay. But the other reason I don't send cards is because of my, we've discussed this before, my lack of penmanship. I know I should try harder, but my mind goes a million miles an hour and my hands try to keep up with it. So send a friend a card. Even if you make one and send it. It doesn't say they have to get it today. It says you send it today. Okay, it is also, this is a killer. The periodic table day. Now, if those of you who are science savvy know that the periodic table is a listing of elements, and people that are into science really have it down. All I know is that it exists. When I went to school, I graduated, but I graduated as a chef. And to my knowledge, well, after all these years cooking, you don't need a periodic table to cook. All right, and it is National Fettuccine Alfredo Day. Now, you probably love fettuccine Alfredo. I know I do. Boy, is it ever a killer in calories, though. Holy guacamole, it is beyond what one would think. But it's delicious. Did you ever bring home leftovers from a restaurant, and then the next day you decide you're going to heat it up, and you heat it up, and you got this grease all over the plate? And you know, where'd that come from? Well, it came from all the millions of calories. One of the recipes I read calls for a stick of butter and a cup of heavy cream and 2 cups of Parmesan, and then some garlic and Italian seasoning. Well, you know, I'm gonna share a little bit about this with you. I forgot to get the calorie count on the cheese, but the heavy cream, it has 960 calories a cup. That's just the cream. I don't know what the butter has, but I would assume it's about 400 calories a stick. I'm not sure. No, it probably wouldn't be a stick. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Cream cheese is 750 calories, but I'm going to tell you how I make my fettuccine Alfredo. And it's quite tasty, so judge not. If you ever come over, I'll make you some fettuccine Alfredo, and you'll see it's pretty good. I make it, instead of heavy cream, I use evaporated milk, which is very creamy. I also, instead of butter, I use olive oil, or part butter, part olive oil. That's also more heart healthy, just saying, since we were just talking about our hearts. So instead of having this mother load of grease and calories, you can lighten it up and still enjoy it. And you can use the same sauce that you make for Alfredo to make linguine with lemon cream sauce. Now, lemon cream sauce is pretty much like making Alfredo. It's, you know, olive oil and garlic. You saute them together. Oh, so good. And then you add evaporated milk, and then you add Parmesan cheese. So you get this beautiful creamy sauce, and then you squeeze in. You have to do it right. Excuse me. You squeeze in fresh lemon juice. But if you did it all at once, the whole thing would curdle. So you have to kind of be whisking it and dribble in a little and dribble in a little and dribble in a little. And my friend that taught me how to make that put in sliced mushrooms and asparagus. I like to put in a little lightly steamed asparagus. The mushrooms, not so much, not my cup of tea, but whatever works for you. You can also put capers in it, which are little teeny weeny things that look like little teeny weeny Brussels sprouts, but they kind of got a tang to them, so it adds a little tang to your lemon cream sauce. So easy, so easy. All right, and I want to tell you the story about how fettuccine Alfredo came about. There was a man, Alfredo. He was a chef. He had a restaurant, and in 1908, his wife got pregnant, and she just kept losing weight and she didn't eat. She really didn't feel good. You know, she probably had one of those pregnancies where you got morning sickness all day long, day after day. Well, what he did is he wanted to make sure he gave her something hearty and fattening. She needed those calories. So he developed Fettuccine Alfredo, and here we are today. You know, some people say you shouldn't eat pasta, especially if you're on a diet, but not only is pasta good, it's fun. I want to show you the noodles I'm going to be making my Fettuccine Alfredo with. Alfredo noodles are typically, you know, like they're kind of flat and wide, but I found these one day, and they are a little bigger than a fettuccine, a little bit, and they're wavy on the edge, like what do you call it, like lasagna. I think and they are delicious. Sometimes when you want to do something special, you gotta, you know, put out the extra money and get yourself a special treat. This is called mafalda. So if you want a fun pasta, get some mafalda. Well, that was a very fun National Day calendar selection for today. So now we're going to be, I have an announcement. I'm writing again. Whew! I had that writer's block for so long, and what I'm writing I may not be able to share with you. It could be banned, actually. No, it's not X-rated. No, I don't do that. Just don't bother with that. No, it's not. But it's a little political. It's a little racial. It's and I don't know. This is not going to be one of my short stories. This is going to be a story, which will go beyond, I think, 2,500 words is whatever it is. I'm working on it. But no matter what, it'll be like a chapter story. So should I decide to share it with you, I'll probably do like a couple chapters every day that you're interested in listening to it. But a lot of people do love my stories. And I'm so glad. You know, I have been praying that I would be able to break through the writer's block. And I did have to remind myself, I do have the power. Now, it's not like I just said, that's what I'm writing. What happened was I prayed, I tried, I'd write little things, and I really had to sit down and say, you're writing. You can turn off any distractions, TV, radio, computer, anything. Well, I have to have my computer on because I write, but, you know, turn off Facebook so it's not going beep, beep, and I'm saying, oh, who's talking to me? No. So I got it all done, and the story's coming. It's just coming, you know. Whatever it is inside of you that you want to do, you have the power to do. God is not going to give you any desire without already giving you everything you need to get it done. That doesn't mean you're going to get it done because you are a big part of the equation. We say, oh, I'll pray. But you can't just pray about it. You got to pray and you got to move your feet. You have to do something about it. You know, when I wrote my book, Rise of the False Gods, I thought about writing that book for 2 or 3 years. I kept saying, I wish everybody knew these principles that I know and how they work in your everyday life. Now, I'm not special that I had this wonderful wisdom. I learned it. I learned it by reading. I learned it by going to church. I learned it when I went to seminary. I learned it by looking at my own life and how the principles applied to my life. And they made such a huge difference. I just had a passion to share it with other people. And how and why I became a Unity minister. And I love it. And I love when any one of you guys who watches my videos might say, hey, it really helped me when you said that. I mean, that makes my day. Some people send cards to tell me, yes, they do. I have a little box. I call it I have a basket and a box. The basket's in my bedroom, and when I get an encouraging word, a card, a note, whatever, I print it out if it's on the computer. I take the card and I put it in the basket. I put the note in the basket. And then when I'm feeling like I am totally incapable of doing anything, I don't have the gift, I take them out and I read them. So it makes me feel better. And when the basket's full, it goes in the box. Now, for a while, I was keeping every card anybody ever sent me, but I got to the point in my minimalizing where I said, you can't do that. I don't expect you to keep every card I send you, and so I pray you don't expect me to keep every card you send me. There are a few special ones. And if you got so many cards that you just can't give up, take pictures of them and then get rid of them. Okay, so I was very excited about writing again. One of the things you have to know that if you want to claim your power, knowledge is power. So you know what I just said about writing? Now, I am not a technically great writer, but I'm a great storyteller. So if I worried about every little grammatical error I might make, then I would never write. Now, I do have a great program. It's called Pro Writing Aid. There's other ones out there, Grammarly and Scribe, and I just happen to have Pro Writing Aid, which works well for me. And it tells you about some of your grammatical mistakes, and it tells you, all kinds of other little stuff. Now, also when I'm writing, I do research. Even if I'm just writing a ghost story for the campground, I do research because I don't want to be saying something that would lead someone in astray or make me look stupid, I might say. I don't think anybody really relishes being thought of as stupid. Not even clowns. So, anyway, knowledge is power. So whatever you want to do, you have to take the time to learn to do it. And we talked about this a day a little while ago. Kevin Nation said that winners take imperfect action while losers are completing their plan. So I write, and then I go over it, and then I edit it, and then I have other friends edit it, and then I decide if it's something I want to publish or use on the campground as a story, whatever. And another part of claiming your power is being yourself and being okay to be yourself. Remember, you can't be anybody else. Everybody else is already taken. And if you try to be them, you will be a poor imitation because you can only be your real self. And it's a darn shame if God gave you all these gifts that you have for whatever it is. If you got the gifts and you're not using them, that hurts my heart. And don't think you can't. Give yourself a chance. You're not in competition with anybody. One of the most painful parts about being a minister is when a bunch of ministers get together, they say to each other, so how many did you have on Sunday morning? That's a question that should be a sin, because it doesn't matter how many people there. It matters how many people are growing and learning and living a more powerful way of being and growing closer to God and all that is good. That's the point. One of my teachers in seminary used to say, Jesus didn't say, count my sheep. Jesus said, feed my sheep. So even if you, let's say you want to get your little country band going, or you're a singer, you write poetry, you want to be a stand-up comic and go to open mic, the pros will tell you so many times there was nobody in the audience. There was 2 or 3 people in the audience, and 2 of them were hecklers. You know, you have the power, and the real power is your mental capacity, your ability to change your mind. Sometimes we think that is the worst thing that could have happened to me, when in truth, it opened doors, that you never thought about. Think about it now. You have the power. Don't be haunted by your mistakes. Your mistakes are only steps in the direction of your successes. Be fed by your successes, not by your failures. You see, the true thing about power, about your personal power, is the ability to embrace it, to believe it, and to know that you can do it. Even if you fail. What is it they say? Who was the guy? Thomas Edison had 1,000 failures before he got the light bulb right. Stop looking at your failures as failures. Look at them as steps. One step closer to when it works. I cannot urge you to do that enough. Now, another thing you need is a support system. You know your power. And if you have a support system to get you where you want to go, they will be the ones that you will need to remind yourself of what you already know but kind of put on the back burner and forgot a little bit. So you have yourself some friends who believe in you as much as you know to believe in yourself. The other one is to know that you have the power to overcome. When I was in training to be a district sales manager for Avon, I'm not talking little ring the doorbell Avon lady. I'm talking about being a district sales manager with 250 sales reps under me and achieving Circle of Excellence 2 out of 4 years. And that was work. But you know why it worked? Because I wanted for my representatives what I want for you. I want you to grow and to have a great life. So anyway, when I was sent away for training, we did an exercise. And in the exercise, we had to stack up blocks, little blocks, square blocks, blindfolded. And each one of us had a coach. Now, the person that I was, we were both up at the same time, that person's coach praised them, encouraged them, told them how great they were doing. My coach told me how stupid I was and how I couldn't do anything right. And no matter what I was doing, it'd never work. And that was really dumb, and I'm clumsy, and I'm ridiculous. Well, I happen to have been prepared for that because I was married to someone who told me how stupid, how unworthy, how skinny, how fat, how blah, 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 blah. He reaffirmed all my negative fears. However, I beat the pants off the girl who got the praises because I had learned the ability to focus in the middle of the bad time. When you learn to channel your power, those negative thoughts, you just block them out and focus on your goal. Build that tower. You can do it. Of course, the people that did the tests, they were kind of confused because they expected the idea of the exercises people do better with praise than criticism. But someone that's really strong and has had to overcome a lot of criticism, they got it. So that means, it also means you can't judge someone whether they're weak or strong. You know, everybody just do your thing. If somebody picked on you, get over it. Okay. Think of the word failure and the word mistake. What do the words failure and mistake have in common? Why are they alike? I'm going to have a little sip of water. Okay. What'd you come up with? See, failure and mistake basically would, let's say, it meant the goal was not achieved. Except failure says done for. Failed. No good. Mistake said, I got something I can adjust and make it work. Try it again. Nobody's a failure until they fail to try again. The word that you will find very, very powerful in helping you to claim your power is paradigm shift. It's shifting from can't to can. It's shifting from talented to not talented. You know, I watched the Olympics last night. I guess it was pairs, figure skating, and I watched also some of the downhill skiers and oh my stars! I look at that and I go, are they out of their mind? The guy picks up the girl, flips her around 3 times, catches her on skates that are on blades that are very sharp and a pointy. Boom! And sometimes they fell. And I watched some of those skaters fall. And the big deal was not about the falling, it was about the getting up and keeping going. How many people fall and say, I've had enough. I'm hurting, I'm tired of hurting. Well, if you may have forgotten it, but when you were a baby, you learned to walk because you kept falling and you kept getting up, okay? So anything you want to do, you have the power to do it. And you want to be calmly high-powered. You don't want to be like you want to be grounded. And that's like when I talked about building the tower with someone yelling at me. You have to be focused and grounded. So even though it looks like chaos on the outside, on the inside your mind is stilled and focused. That's what you need. A paradigm shift is an aha moment. One of my biggest aha moments, you've heard about it before, and I'm going to say it 100 times because if one person hears me that didn't hear it before, it could change their life like it changed mine. When I was a kid, I prayed all the time. I would walk home from school. I was a good little Catholic girl. We were taught that you should pray without ceasing. And I did, and I walked to and from school, and if I wasn't talking to somebody, I was praying. So I walked, and one day I was walking, and I was saying the Lord's Prayer. In the Catholic Church, they call it the Our Father. So I'm walking along, and all of a sudden, Our Father who art in heaven, that was Jesus that said that. Paradigm shift. Jesus said, Our Father. Not my Father. Our. And in that moment, 12 years old, my whole life shifted. And that whole belief thing, and I felt closer to Jesus, and I felt closer to God, and I felt like, oh my God, oh my God, and that nobody's left out of this. That was what I found in Unity. That was like, there is one God, and God has many names to many people, many expressions, and each one of us is a child of God. So that was my little aha moment. I'm sure you've had some. I invite you to think about some of those aha moments in your life. And so that, gosh, I had so much. I can only get so much in, and I charted everything in. I did want to, I wanted to remind you that I am gestating a different series. It's not going to be instead of this one. It'll be its own, and some of you may not want to watch it. It's going to be politiphysics, and it's the metaphysics of politics. And we're going to learn a little bit about some of the stuff we got going on out here and how that works metaphysically. It will also be, I will be using a lot when I do that, my book, Rise of the False Gods. You can find that on Amazon. You can get it on Kindle, and I think if you're a Prime member, you can get it for free on Kindle. So this isn't about the money. This is about the teaching, a teaching that can change the world. It really can. And our mad world thought for today. There was a man, you've probably heard about him on the news. He was wanting a kidney transplant, but when he went to the hospital to get his surgery, they told him he would need to be vaccinated. And he said, I would rather die than get that vaccination. So why I put it in mad world is he rejected possible death if the worst happened and the vaccine killed him, which it doesn't. He chose that over probable, or he will die if he doesn't get his kidney transplant. So that's why I call it Mad World. I wanted to also share with you this great book. It is Discover the Power Within You by Eric Butterworth. You can tell it's old and beat up, but I wanted to share a quote from that today because it affects what we're talking about. You may say, I'm only human. This is the understatement of your life. You are not only human. You are also divine in potential. The fulfillment of all your goals and aspirations in life depends upon stirring up and releasing more of that divine potential. And there is really nothing difficult about letting this inner light shine. All we must do is correct the tendency to turn off our light when we face darkness. Powerful, huh? Thank you so much for being with me today. I hope you join me again next time. And for now, have a wonderful evening and be blessed. And be a blessing to someone else. You can do it.